the Josephine Review Podcast. We are now on episode 17. Can you believe it? It's been 17 episodes. I mean, it hasn't been 17 on YouTube, but I've been doing this long before I came to YouTube. And I'm just so excited that I've made it this far recording shows for you guys. And now, we're on YouTube, so you can see me and everything. So today we are talking about a show titled A Word to the Wise. Today's show is titled A Word to the Wise. Okay? Please understand that the views I express on my show are that of my own, and you, my wonderful listeners, have the right to agree to disagree. If you miss any live shows from the Josephine Review Podcast, you can catch me on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor, social media platforms, Twitter and IG, and or on my website, thejosephinereviewpodcast.com. That's where you can get linked to an instant replay of the latest show's topics, okay? Feel free to leave your questions and comments below. And if you don't leave them there, make sure you like, share, and subscribe and tell everybody all about the show, okay? And leaving your comments, you never know. I just might respond. Okay? Now let's talk about it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to discuss is COVID-19. Yes, we're going to talk about the pandemic because Biden has announced that July 4th, I believe, yes, he's calling it the Independence Day of COVID. So America is going to open back up. So all of the states, or majority of them, will be open and free from quarantine unless that is you contract COVID-19. And it's because everyone is being vaccinated, And those of you who have not been vaccinated, continue to wear your mask if you want. But if you don't want to, guess what? No one will know that you have COVID, you've had the COVID vaccine or not, because, how are they going to prove that? But you won't have to wear your mask. You won't have to isolate yourself when you go into the stores or when you're standing in line. Like, all of that stuff will be over as of July 4th. So what I say about that, the debacle of to mask or not to mask, wear your mask. I think we should still be cautious and wear our mask at least until, after winter is over, because they're opening everything back up. They're going back to having concerts, and TV shows are going back to live audiences. So we'll have more people packed together, crammed together, breathing all over each other, A lot of people are doing that already, but it will be more people. And you can't just really, truly rely on the vaccine, saying that is keeping you clear from contracting the virus, because it only clears you from, or protects you rather, from certain strains of the virus. Now, I've heard some news sources say that it's supposed to protect you completely, but, the shot is not universal. There's always a new strain of every disease. There's always a new strain, a superbug version of everything. So just be cautious and know that just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you can't still catch another strain that wasn't incorporated into the vaccine you received or the vaccines you received. Because I've heard even some people say they got Pfizer and they got Johnson & Johnson and they got AstraZeneca. It's like, do you really need all of that in your body and you don't know exactly what it's all doing to your body in combination? But to each their own. And just know that, July 4th, everything will be back to normal as we know it, I guess. But still be cautious. Still wear your mask if you need to. Still wash your hands. Still sanitize and do all the cleanliness practices we've been doing in the lockdown, okay, during quarantine and whatnot. So that's all I have to say about the COVID to mask or not to mask situation, or COVID Independence Day, as Biden calls it. Moving along. So, funny thing. I'm watching television and a commercial comes on, and it's Mr. T. Yes, remember Mr. T from the 18 back in the 80s? I was a baby, a kid growing up, you know. But I definitely remember I pitied the fool, you know. I pitied the fool. I totally remember Mr. T. I may not exactly remember the show he was in, but I remember him all over the television. And so I'm watching this commercial for Aaron's Furniture, I believe it is. And I feel like they're disrespecting Mr. T. And I'm like, hold on now let me explain. So he jumps in the scene, and you know, he has his classic mohawk from back then. But the mohawk is like, it's on a gangster lean. It's a little crooked. It's a little cocked to the side. And I was like, why they do Mr. T like that? You know, if you're going to bring him back and have him doing I Pity the Fool for furniture, you know, at least get him a good little pasty, because I don't know if that's a little hairpiece he has there, you know. But at least put it on properly. We have too many super hairstylists, mega hairstylists, or whatever they call them. We have too many millionaire hairstylists for his little piece to be crooked like that, you know. So Aaron's Furniture, put some respect on Mr. T, okay? Fix that little mohawk. Fix that little mohawk. Now, I did see a little billboard with him on the front of it, you know, featured prominently on it. And the mohawk looks, you know, like it was edited properly. But on that commercial, we need to get that together. You know, we need to get that together. Well, moving on. Let's talk about Portia and Simon once again. I didn't even want to talk about their situation this week because I feel I pretty much covered it in the last video, and it's been pretty much covered, you know, ad nauseum, but I have to say something about them again. So there was a post on social media going around with a side-by-side. So there's Portia, there's Simon and Portia in a picture. And then on the opposite side, there is, who is it? Esther and Thelma, okay? And I'm like looking at the picture, and I'm like, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I said, well, what is going on here? What does this mean? What is this? And then I looked close and I said, oh my goodness. They are not comparing Esther to Simon. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. The thought of it, the idea of the picture side by side is a little funny because everyone has always said that Portia kind of favors Thelma, and she does. Thelma, you know, has a little up on Portia, but they favor, you know. But to say Esther favors Simon Gobadia is just disrespectful. It's disrespectful, especially what she's done for the Black community back in the day, you know. It's disrespectful. It was all in fun, but I don't think it was that funny because one, Esther is a Yale graduate, so I'm sure she's a lot smarter than everybody who laughed at that picture, okay? Number two, she didn't just star on Good Times. She was the brains behind Good Times, and she fought for women's rights like no other. She fought for the visual of the black family on national TV when they were not, caring about how we were depicted when it came to positive depictions of black people on television back then. They kind of still don't care now, but it was a lot worse back then. Especially when you have a show like All in the Family, which Good Times was a spinoff from, using the N-word on TV. So Esther Roll stepped in and she was like, no, I'm sorry, I think the Jeffersons were a spinoff of All in the Family. But either way, they were on around the same time. And she fought for the rights of us to not just be a family depicted living in the projects, just looking out of the window watching the asphalt grow. She wanted to show the depiction of a black woman and a black man married, raising their family together, because there was this angle to erase the black man from the family. Now, as we know here today in 2021, they have kind of been successful. And if you believe the television, black men and black women don't marry each other anymore. Not that often. But honestly, we do, because growing up looking at my family, my aunts and uncles were married and are still married to the same people today. And they're black people, okay? They are black men with black women with black men, okay? Also, in my neighborhood, I saw black families, homeowners, living together and raising their families. So even though the entertainment world likes to promote this idea that the black man does not really want to be with the black woman and the black family as a cohesive unit does not exist, it does. And Esther Roll was steadfast in showing and promoting that image, whether we were depicted as poor, middle class, or rich on television. So to see her reduced to a joke and compared to looking like a man, I just felt was disrespectful of all of the people, why her. She actually basically was a civil rights activist, a woman's right activist, a black woman's right activist. So she didn't deserve to be shown in that light, So I just wanted to touch on that real quick just to educate some people, because that was not okay. All right? So we're going to move on to sports. Okay, so in sports, there was a situation where something happened to Russell Westbrook. First, I want to talk about Chris Paul. So Chris Paul took a tumble on the court, and it looks like he injured his rotator cuff, and it looked so painful. So I think he's gonna be sitting out for a couple of games. So Russell Westbrook is leaving the court, and he goes to walk through the tunnel area between the seating, and there's like a banner canopy thingy and some seating right there with a little gap in between it. So there's a little gap, okay? And there's popcorn dumped on top of his head by some fans. And this is in the Philly arena, okay? And, it's no secret. If you're a basketball fan, I'm a basketball fan. I love basketball. And I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I do keep up with what's going on. And if you know about basketball, or even football, that Philly is one of the worst places to go if you're not an Eagle or a 76er, okay? Their fans are so man, they go in on the people that come from the opposite teams. They go in on them. I wouldn't want to be in the Philly stands rooting for some person on the other side. Because who knows, you might get a Coca-Cola bottle upside your head. You never know what's going to happen in Philly. So it wasn't shocking to me that someone dumped popcorn on his head. What was shocking to me was that people feel it's okay to disrespect players. NBA players and football players are always getting disrespected on the court. And it's like, you fans would not be fans and wouldn't be there if it wasn't for these players, regardless of what team they're playing for, being in the stadium playing so that you have someone to go crazy over, you know? And how can you disrespect a player because they're on another team, when that player, it could be the middle of the season, they can get traded to another team or choose to, leave one team and go to another team. So you just disrespected that person, dumped popcorn on their head, threw a ball at them on the court or something, and then they're playing for your team, and then now you're friends. Like, I just don't get the diehard fan rhetoric, when it comes to being abusive and disrespectful. Needless to say, those fans that did that were banned indefinitely, which, tends to be the case when they handle the fans. They ban them indefinitely. But it shouldn't even happen. If you want to boo the person, you want to heckle them, hey, it comes with the game, but even the heckling goes too far, because sometimes they're racist and disrespectful with the heckling. So I just wish that there was something else that could be done about people behaving that way at games. I just thought that was so crazy. And then you see the people from Russell's team holding him back because he wanted to break loose and put the pineapple on him behind. Yes, the pineapple. He was trying to get to them, but I'm glad they held him back because, that wasn't even worth him putting his hands on someone, and he's worth way too much for that. He has a lot to lose, but it's just crazy, So we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay, so let's talk about Netflix. Okay, so a lot of sitcoms are being created and put on Netflix, okay, where you can watch the whole season. You don't have to, it's not like, for example, Blackish, where you have to wait until it comes on every week and you can DVR it or whatever to watch it, but you still have to wait each week for an episode. Or like Power, you have to wait when Power was on. Or Power Book, should I say. You wait each week for a new episode. You can't just watch the whole thing through when you want. So, that's a good thing about Netflix. But a lot of Black shows are being put on Netflix. And one of the newest shows, first let me say, Jamie Foxx has a show called My Dad Is Embarrassing Me or something like that. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will. I did see a little bit of one episode, like a preview, and it looked like it's gonna be funny, but I haven't gotten a chance to really get into that show yet. But I have watched The Upshaws. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know about that show, The Upshaws, but I have watched it, and it's really good. It's a great show. It's executive produced by Wanda Sykes and Mike Epps, okay, and they both star in the show. So just to give you a general idea, Kim Fields plays the wife. Mike Epps is the husband. So Kim Fields and Mike Epps are married. And then Wanda Sykes plays Kim Fields' sister and Mike Epps' sister-in-law, quite naturally. And then there's Gabrielle Dennis. Now, Gabrielle Dennis is an actress who played on, I think she got her start on The Game as Derwin's girlfriend after Drew Sidora. So he was with someone after Drew Sidor, and that someone is Gabrielle Dennis. Oh, and she also plays. You see her on the Old Spice commercial with Dion Cole, and I think she plays like his wife or girlfriend on the commercial, right? So that's Gabrielle Dennis, and she plays Mike Epps' hood baby mama. Okay, she's his child's mother. And I found the show to be hilarious, and it kind of kicks off where Gabrielle's character needs a car, and Mike Epps goes behind Kim Phil's back. Their characters, I can't remember their characters' names right now, but he goes behind his wife's back to buy his baby mama a car. It's a little hoopty now, but he still bought her a whole car and didn't tell his wife. And Wanda finds out about it, and it's like holding his feet to the fire behind her sister's back, you know. So it's a really good show. If you have not seen it, you should check into it. It is called The Upshaws. I don't know where they get that name from, The Upshaws. It's not like really a common name, not where I'm from anyway. But I guess I think they should have given it a more catchy name. But the show is funny, so watch it on Netflix. Okay. Our next topic is the Kennedy Center Honors. So the Kennedy Center Honors came on this past weekend, and one of the honorees was Miss Debbie Allen. So yes, the Allen sisters are in the news again. As you recall, on previous episode, I spoke about Phylicia Rashad. She has been named the Dean of Fine Arts for Howard University. Well, now her baby sister is to be congratulated because the world-renowned choreographer, producer, director, Debbie Allen has received the highest artistic award. She has received a Kennedy Center honor. And Miss Allen, like her sister, is an alumni of Howard University. And I also just recently learned that she choreographed the Academy Awards 10 times. You know, that they say that a lot of those award shows lack diversity, which is true. I mean, I am not arguing that. But to know that she choreographed the Academy Awards approximately 10 times, that's good to know. That's great to know, you know. Miss Debbie Allen is a seasoned, multi-awarded veteran in the game, and she definitely deserves the flowers she received over the weekend. So that Kennedy Center honor was overdue and well deserved, okay? Now, speaking of Miss Debbie Allen, I have a little side note, okay? I need to thank Debbie Allen for producing Amistad, okay? If you didn't know that she produced Amistad, yes, she did. Amistad, that story helped me in college to get an A on my presentation. I had a presentation. We had to write, I forget how many words it was, but it ended up being like 6 or 7 pages. So I had to write an essay. Then we had to do a presentation on the projector and a Q&A after our presentation. Okay. So let me just tell you this quick, funny little story. All right. Like to hear it, here it go. So during my presentation, I was so nervous, like completely nervous. Back then, I did not like public speaking, but I had to just hang it up that day because I needed to speak publicly in front of the class to get my grade, okay? So I was so nervous, I kept calling the character in Amistad, I kept calling the man Cinco. Okay, so I'm just standing there reading, and I got the little projector on, my little project document or whatever, and a presentation. And I'm reading and I keep saying Cinco, right? But I don't realize that I'm saying Cinco. So one of my classmates, okay, little Miss Hader, okay, she says after I finish my presentation and we're doing the Q&A part, so I call on her and she's like, you kept saying Cinco. You kept calling him Cinco. I thought his name was Cinque in the movie. And I was like, girl, I didn't know that I was saying Cinco. I was like, what's that? I was saying Cinco. Like, I really didn't know. I really didn't know I was saying that, but there she is calling it out. And the professor is sitting on the side of the room like, okay, she did. So, I was like, girl, why are you putting me on blast like that? Why you putting a girl out there like that? You could have pulled me to the side after class and said, girl, you were saying Cinco. But no, she wants to ask that in the Q&A. Okay. And so I turned around and looked at my slides on the projector and I saw that I had Cinque on the slide. So I was like, woo, okay. At least I had Cinque on the slides and I looked down at my paper, I had Cinque on the paper. But my nerves had me saying Cinco for whatever reason. And so my African studies professor, he was looking at me, and he said he didn't even notice, which was great. But I was just glad that, I had the right name on the paper. Because, child, if I would have had Cinco on there, I was going to politely ask him, can I please go to the writing lab to make that correction? Because I don't want to see, for a false name that I just made up, Cinco, no. But anyway, I just had a little flashback on that. But let's congratulate Debbie Allen on receiving the coveted Kennedy Center honor for this year. Okay? Now, it's time for our next section of the show titled, Did You Know? So today's Did You Know is about a woman named Gabrielle Dennis. Okay? 15 years ago, in 2006, Horn was on the job with the Buffalo, New York Police Department. That's what she worked for. She was a police officer. And she witnessed her fellow officer and now former Lieutenant Greg Kwiatkowski administering a chokehold on a black suspect. Okay? So as we know, the chokehold has been a thing. It has been a thing. But anyway, so she noticed her fellow officer doing a chokehold on this guy. So she proceeded to stop the officer, which the man says, Gabrielle saved his life, By 2008, Horn had been fired because she stopped an officer from choking to death a suspect. Okay, she was fired for that. The police department of Buffalo, New York fired her for intervening. And, it could have been a George Floyd story long before George Floyd. And she did the right thing and was fired for it. When we have officers on the daily almost doing the wrong thing and retaining their jobs, retaining their pension. But here she was calling out an officer and she was reprimanded in the worst way. She was fired. She did not get to keep her pension. She did not get her pay. She didn't get anything, She said in an interview in 2020 that Neil Mack, who was the suspect, his name is Neil Mack, looked like he was about to die. So had she not stepped in, her words, he possibly could have died. He was handcuffed and being choked, okay? So often, certain officers abuse their power with murderous results a lot of the time, and are simply given a slap on the wrist. You know, they, even if they lose their job with their police force, they can go to another town, another city, someplace else, and apply for that police department because for whatever reason, their bad ways and their bad records don't follow them from a department, police department to police department. Which I don't understand, because if you're a police officer or any type of employee, especially an employee working for a government job where the citizens pay your salary, it's easy to look up your job history. Shouldn't your job history be looked up? Isn't it looked up whenever you apply for a job? How are these officers able to just go to another place and get the same job? You know, and then they carry on that same behavior that got them fired in the previous city. It's crazy, you know. Horn was not afforded that same treatment. She couldn't go to another place and get another police job. She was unfairly given disciplinary charges amidst her firing just before her pension eligibility. And she didn't let it slide. She moved forward with a lawsuit. The lawsuit took 15 years. 15 years. 15 times. It don't move. That's not funny. I shouldn't have said that in the middle of that, but it just popped in my head, you know, just it just popped in my head, the Gorilla Glue girl. But anyway, her lawsuit spanned 15 years. That is a very long time to fight for your right to receive your pension for doing the right thing, to fight for your right to keep your job for doing the right thing. When we have all of these people who do the wrong thing and nothing happens to them, there's no fight with them, you know. But while she was fighting, part of what went wrong in her case, which caused her to lose her job, was the attorney she had actually gave false statements in court against her. So she's paying an attorney to help her, and he was there working against her. You can't make this stuff up, you know. He actually made 8 defamatory and false statements about her. 8. Now, I hope that he's being handled, since that has now come out, I hope he's being handled also and has been disbarred. You know, because he clearly was working for the other side and was paid in some form or fashion to do that to her, you know, to work against her. As of April 2021, as of April this year, Gabrielle Horn has finally been vindicated by Judge Dennis Ward of the New York Supreme Court and has been awarded her pension. She got her pension back and will receive back pay and benefits through August 4th of 2010. So from 2006, when I believe when the incident occurred, or 2008 when she was fired, up until August 2010, she will receive back pay and benefits. So that is a win for her. It took a long time, but you know, there was a silver lining in that for her, thankfully. Judge Ward, the judge who vacated the previous ruling that was made against Gabrielle Horn, said, and I quote, "While the Eric Garners and the George Floyds of the world never had a chance for a do-over, at least here the correction can be done." So kudos to Judge Dennis Ward. You know, we have to celebrate the people who actually do the right thing. So, you know, kudos to Judge Ward for overturning all of that bad, negative stuff that happened to Carrie Ward, a police officer in blue who was doing the right thing. She was holding her counterpart accountable for their bad actions, the things that we as Black people fought for and have been fighting for, and what a lot of the marching has been for with Black Lives Matter and with all of the other groups of activism that are fighting against police brutality. One of the main things people are fighting for when it comes to police reform is that officers in blue, the ones who are the good officers, hold the bad officers accountable so that we can get them off of the force, get them from having a gun and a baton and a badge, you know, so that some of what's happening can stop. We hope all of it can stop, but we know that's asking for a lot, you know. But looking at what happened to Carrie Horn, we understand why the good officers don't say anything, because they have homes, they have families, they have children, they have elderly people in their family that are dependent on them. They have a lot that they have to take care of, that they're responsible for. And so they're afraid a lot of the time for what happened to her to happen to them, and they lose their job and their pension and their benefits. You know, so I totally understand that it doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it right, but I get it. You know, she's an example of why a lot of them stay quiet. But hopefully what Judge Ward has done is started the train going where we have officers who have some recourse that step up and say something and do the right thing and block bad behaviors by their co-workers, their fellow officers, that there's recourse for them that's positive, where they don't lose their jobs and where they're not reprimanded for saving someone's life, you know. But anyway, what Judge Dennis Ward said were wise words spoken by someone with common sense. And this story, this Did You Know story for today, is why I titled the show A Word to the Wise. It's a situation like the Carrie Horn case, and you know, the end result, not the beginning, the end result, to get that started in motion where officers are okay speaking up about the bad officers. Well, officers are okay knowing that they won't lose everything they have by trying to do the right thing. So, by the way, also, I want to say that Neil Mack, the suspect in that situation, also sued the Buffalo Police Department, in which a jury, you guessed it, found no wrongdoing. Now, this jury was made up of majority Caucasian people and only one Black person. All of the Caucasian people found no wrongdoing, and the one Black person was actually on his side. But, you know, it has to be majority rule, you know, and so he lost the case at that time. Horn is currently trying to get a law passed named Carriel's Law. And Carriel's Law is to protect officers who intervene from retaliation. And, you know, I say more power to her. All the activists should contact Carriel Horn and stand behind her, uplift her, and help her to get this law passed. If there's a petition to be signed, let me know about it, you know. Let everybody who there is know about it so we can all sign it, because this is definitely something positive that needs to be put in place. The Carrio's Law. Okay? And that is today's Did You Know? Okay? Carry your horn. And before I bid you adieu, here is a message that hopefully inspires you. Today's motivation and inspiration is you can never plan the future by the past. And that was said by Edmund Burke. Okay? You can never plan the future by the past. The past is what it is. It is the past. It's happened already. It's gone. It's done. It's over. So every time you think about something that happened in the past, that failed opportunity, that missed idea, that thing you slept on that you should have done and now somebody else is doing it and somebody else is doing it, or ideas that you had that you didn't act on, or things that you did act on and it went wrong. Leave those things there where they are, because it went wrong in that situation, in that period, at that time. Okay? But today is the present, and it is a new day. And every time you go to sleep and wake up the next day and open your eyes, it is the present. The present is a gift. The gift is a new day. The gift is a new moment to try again. You know, because now you know more people, you know more things, you know what not to do, if anything, you know. So try it again with the lesson you learned from it going the wrong way, or from not actually even going through with the attempt. Try doing it again, or try doing it that new way. Try meeting more people, networking. Try other creative ideas. There's always a chance to try something new and to start over. That's why God gifted us with the present. The present is for us to move forward, to take that step, to jump off that cliff, to do whatever it is we need to do to create a better, new, positive, brighter, uplifting moment in our life. You know, as there's this person that I follow on social media. One thing she always says is, what's the best that can happen? What's the best that can happen? The best that can happen is you can be the best you. You can have the best redo at something you tried to do before that didn't work. You can have the best outcome. You can have the best future. What's the best that can happen? That's like the greatest motivational quote ever, right? So remember that when you're thinking about your future, and remember that every time you want to remember your past. Forget your past. The past is over. It's done. It's forgotten about. Nobody remembers it but you. Nobody knows about it unless you bring it up and tell someone about it. So leave the past in the past and focus on your future. Focus on that chance of doing that thing you always wanted to do. And remember that the future is brighter, and the present, live in the present, is what God has given us. God has given us a present, a gift to try it again another day. Okay? So that's our motivation and inspiration for today. Until next time, that's our show. Until the next episode, please leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know if you have any topics you want me to speak on, any questions you want to ask, anything you want to say. I'll be reading, okay? Make sure if you don't do anything else, you like, you share, and you subscribe to this channel. This is the Josephine Review Podcast, and that's our show, guys. May God bless you and His way impress you. Later.